Welcome to another edition of the AboutBeverages.com podcast, our live on location edition, part 3 actually. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Keith. And yes, we did have more than enough material actually to have 3 podcasts from our time with Scott and Rebecca Safford down at Tap and Bottle.
Yeah, and this time in true About Beverages fashion, we've kind of done these beers almost in reverse, because what we're finishing with, we probably should have started with.
Yeah, that's true.
This show is all about, obviously, more conversation about what it's like owning a bottle shop here in Tucson, but the beers that they were pouring for us were actually session beers. And not only just session beers, like way below session beers.
Uber session.
Uber session, there you go.
And what do we mean by that? Well, you're going to have to listen to find out. But, of course, that's why you're here anyways.
That's
to listen.
True. Yeah, to listen. And not just to listen to us banter right now, but actually to get right into the podcast, which is what we'll do.
So we're going to talk session style beers, which is something we talk about actually a lot. We like looking at that because sometimes we want to have more than one of the same thing because it's so delicious, and it's even a little nicer when the alcohol is a little lower. So.
And I feel like there's less things to hide flaws, and I think you're getting a really nice, clearer picture. You're not dealing with 12%. You're not dealing with 12% alcohol and just a boatload of hops. I think it definitely is a harder style to pull off, I feel, and make it taste correctly.
Okay. I like looking at it from a technical aspect like that. All right.
So the first one up is from Destihl Brewing. It's out of Normal, Illinois. Also relatively newer brewery to arrive in Arizona, and they also do a whole sour series, and this one is called the Counterclockwise. So it's a Berliner Weisse. I think it's 3.7, 3.5%, something low ABV.
Did you say 3 point? Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay.
This is a great beer. It's interesting, but sometimes it's really hard to talk someone to a $9 10-ounce pour of a 3.5% alcohol beer.
Well, because is that like an unfortunate thing where people just assume that if I'm paying X amount of dollars, I must be getting like a ton of alcohol?
And not all of our customers are like that.
No,
we have a very beer-savvy clientele, and a lot of them don't care. But then you have a lot of people that will balk at
Well, and if they're paying $10 for a 10-ounce pour, and it's like a really intense, bourbon barrel aged, 11% beer. It's like, well, yeah, that's all I'm going to have. I'm going to have that one drink.
And that's kind of a bummer then, too.
Yeah.
And especially when you have 20 or 25 different options on tap, you kind of want to be able to play the field.
But we still want to do it because it's really interesting to us. We love this beer. And
I always think of Berliner Weisse is kind of like a summer thing.
Spring
summer beer.
Yeah.
It's hot outside.
Yes.
It's kind of
which in Tucson is year-round.
Yeah, I like it was like, first day of spring. Yeah, you mean like 2 months ago?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this one is, I love it. It's the lemony, the tartness.
Yeah, especially in the aroma, that lemon just really jumps out at you.
Reminiscent of Dragon's Daisy from last summer, if anybody had that.
Which I
our personal favorites.
I had a growler of that.
That will be back soon, from what I understand.
Oh, good. Nice little. Oh my gosh! Wow, that is tangy. That is fantastically tangy and lemon.
And you get that. There's a little, it's that little bit of funk at the end.
Yes,
but it fits. It ties in real nice with that tanginess, I think.
Yeah,
and it's because I really. It adds some depth.
That is really good. Yeah.
So we've had a Flemish Red from Destihl. We also just had a Gosa on tap from them as well. That was amazing.
A little salty and a little more sour than this even.
That's like
the Leipziger. Yeah.
That one's amazing.
Which one?
The Leipziger.
Oh, that's right. That I bought a bottle of that here when I was here in September. The Gosa style is fun, I think, because it does have that saltiness. Usually got the coriander. It just reminds me. When I drink that, I want a pretzel.
Wow, that is everything I'd want out of that style of beer.
Yeah.
So refreshing. So
is there
lemony.
A little something? There's even a little something else in there to me, maybe I've got pepper on the brain, but something like almost savory, not savory.
There could be a little vegetable tinge at the end. Yeah.
And once again, not nearly offensive. To me, it mixes in with everything. It's right sort of near the end, but little something. But it's really good.
Yeah,
I love
really
this style of beer. That was, yeah. It's like, to me, that's, like I said, an easier to make accessible sour type that you can.
Yes.
It's almost a good starter.
Yeah.
On your road to sour enjoyment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
Well, and that's why it's fun when someone comes in, and they're like, I haven't really drank a lot of craft beer. I usually drink, Budweiser. And sometimes it's fun to just throw something out there at them and have them taste it instead of just saying, oh, well, our lightest Pilsner we have right now is blah, blah, try that. Sometimes it's fun to be like, hey, maybe you should try this, maybe you should try a Berliner Weiss. And maybe all of a sudden this is their new favorite beer. Or, hey, let's
a bourbon barrel aged stout,
yeah.
and just give them something totally off their radar of what they think beer can taste like, and instead of trying to match what Bud Light or Budweiser or Coors taste like.
Well, that's what's kind of cool about the flights then too.
Yeah.
Like that gives them an option to be like, okay, I want to try something that I think is similar, but now I'm going to try 3 that are just completely off the rails of what I would normally have.
Yeah, just kind of the unique thing about beer, especially compared to wine, I feel, is that the flavors are so divergent. Where red wine, there's nuances and subtleties between the grapes, but it's all very grape juice focused in its flavor profile. Right. Where in beer you get light pilsners to barrel aged stout to sours, and that's I think what makes it more accessible and for the general public to pick up, and doesn't take as long to get good at tasting beer as it does wine.
Yeah, so. But now you guys do offer a few wine selections.
Yeah, I know you probably don't want to completely
for people who maybe don't want, but that is
the gluten-free crowd, or people who just aren't into beer yet. They will be. But we have about 80 to 90 bottles between red, white, rosé, champagnes. So,
and then 6 taps, usually a handful of local Arizona wines, which is awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So,
in our bottle selection as well, we have like Dos Cabezas, Pillsbury,
Arizona Stronghold, Page Springs.
What's the new one? Carlson Creek.
Mm-hmm.
So
a new one in.
So you guys are facing the wine selection.
I know, that's kind of funny.
We keep looking at the beer over here. That's but you brought up gluten-free. So gluten-free beers, are there any that you guys have tried that I would drink this even though I don't have a gluten allergy? That was a quick head nod.
Okay, now I'm ready for this.
I'm so surprised by it because I feel, first of all, we had no idea what a big market there would be for gluten-free beers, and we expanded, got our own cooler. Like now, gluten-free has its own cooler. First of all, you brought up earlier the kombucha beers,
ciders, kombucha beers, gluten-free
beers. Those are usually gluten-free, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
The kombucha stuff, and usually the one we had recently was vegan as well.
So, the ones that I've been really impressed with is Strubes does a Pilsner, a gluten-free Pilsner. It's actually, you can't say gluten-free, similar to Omission, like Widmer's Omission beer. It's brewed in traditional way, and then there's an enzyme to remove the gluten.
Oh, wow.
So you can say, what is it, the term? It's like reduced gluten content or something.
Most claim under 20 parts per million.
Yeah.
It's like almost like decaf because you're taking back out something that's already there.
Yeah.
So you can't say
with barley and
zero.
wheat, traditional ingredients, and I don't know if this is true. Someone told me that Alpine, which is one of my favorite breweries in California that doesn't come here, but every time we go there, they made their whole brewery gluten-free. And they make some of the best IPAs I've ever had. So.
Old Bisbee Brewing is doing all the same process with the enzyme, and their Pilsner, we always get their double IPA, and it's amazing to have a gluten-free option on tap, and we've just been super happy.
It's interesting. A couple of the gluten-free beers that we've done podcasts on, not so much.
No, they weren't very good.
No, there's some that I don't really enjoy.
I think it was because they went more the route of like not removing something later. They said we won't even use anything that makes gluten.
Yeah, so like sorghum.
Brewed with sorghum and rice.
Right. That's exactly what, because it was New Planet.
New Planet.
Yeah.
We had one from them, and we had the only one actually we did like Dogfish makes it. What's the one that
Tweezenale?
Yeah.
And that one actually was like, this is not quite a beer, but this is good. It was flavorful, but it was not.
Omission IPA, we could probably blind taste it with other IPAs, and it's good.
See, that'd be a fun thing to do on another podcast too.
Yeah.
Next time we come down here and record, do a little blind tasting and just blow us away with something, and
it would be
fun.
Actually, because I've had it, but I've never blind tasted against other IPAs. So, yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, so we've been really impressed with all the gluten-free stuff. And that's not even talking about like ciders. The ciders that, we have dry hop ciders, we have a habanero cider, we have a black currant cider. I mean, there's just
Brett
some really, really fun stuff.
All right, now you're talking.
Yeah.
Brett cider, you said.
So, and speaking of IPAs.
Yeah, going back to
back
to our old favorite.
So this is a Four Peaks Brewery out of Tempe. They do
It's called the short hop
cider or short hop IPA.
Got cider on the brain.
Yeah, short hop IPA for spring training every year. We had the end of it last year when we opened, and we got another keg this year, and it's a 4.5% ABV sessionable IPA.
So now I know it depends on who you talk to, but what is the alcohol threshold you guys considered for a sessionable?
I'd say 5% is kind of my general rule.
Okay, that's usually what we say too.
You could go a little over. I mean, if I see a 5.1, I'm not gonna.
No, that's not that.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, so.
But this, a 4.5 IPA, and it's like Stone has their go-to IPA. We have daytime IPA from Lagunitas. I just feel like that I want to drink IPAs in the middle of the day and all day and not fall asleep or be too intoxicated. I think it's a good
Sleep
way to
is
go.
usually what hits me now. Like I've noticed that now. I'm like I have a few. All of a sudden I get tired.
I love I've had the Lagunitas, the fractional IPA. To me, it's its own unique. It's not like it's it's an IPA that just happens to be. It has its own different sort of taste too, and I can't. I've had it each of the last 2 years. It just really is very enjoyable.
We sell quite a bit of it. It's pretty popular.
That's good. Now it was just a seasonal thing, or are they doing it year round?
Daytime?
Yeah.
I think they're moving to it being year-round.
Okay.
But not for sure.
Speaking of IPAs, the Lagunitas Hop Stupid is also very good.
They do good work.
Super tasty. I love the Lagunitas. Speaking of Lagunitas, we have the Lagunitas Sucks back, which is the brown sugar substitute, and it's a great IPA as well. One of my favorites from them.
Yeah, I was gonna say definitely get some like peach and just
peach, apricot.
Yeah.
But if they're doing this for spring training, I always love to think about like the beer that I'm drinking, while you're watching a game, and this would be perfect. I mean, sitting outside all day.
It's not quite the ballpark Keith and I always reference, but we haven't quite figured out what that term means yet, but we use that a lot. We'll say something like reminds us of ballpark.
Yeah.
And it just reminds us of being at a baseball game or something like that. There's something about the aroma of certain beers that it's either the malt that they're using or something like that, or like it's usually a little more of that sour kind of aroma or something like that. That reminds you of a ballpark beer.
A $12 Miller Lite.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And shame. It's kind of a combination of the two.
Cost prohibitive and shame.
Yeah. That's just like really light, refreshing, and then just kind of hits kind of a little bitterness at the back. You get a little
pine
fruit in the aroma, but it's kind of just gone. And I think that is, I think thinking of spring training and ballpark, that's exactly what you'd want.
The piney and that peachy apricot-y.
There's a little pine in there.
Yeah. I was getting that in the nose too.
Do you know what actual hops are in this by any chance? Or
we usually get a sheet on it. We probably did, and
it's okay.
Didn't see it. So Four Peaks is really good about giving you the info on their beers and emailing us tasting notes and
cool.
and hop profiles and so.
And it's fun. Sometimes they'll, we get their beer distributed through someone here in Tucson, but then sometimes they'll just call from the brewery, and one of the guys will be like, "Hey, I'm headed down. I'm gonna bring you guys a 6-barrel of something fun," and then they'll show up. And because breweries can sell directly to you even if they have a distributor, so they can
as long as they're in the state.
Yep.
Or is that a state?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So if they were outside of the state, then
they have to go through an in-state distributor. Yeah.
That gets back to the Russian River conversation.
In Alpine.
Yes, my brewery is in California.
Yeah, so we've had the guys from Fate up in Scottsdale and Wilderness and Gilbert, Arizona, like just bring down kegs randomly.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so it's been super fun because those are highly sought after beers to get, and they rarely come down to Tucson. So
yeah, you always hear about that a lot when you talk to distributors. You're just like, well, yeah, I had this plan to come down, but Phoenix took all of it, or like you just kind of like, it's kind of nice that it seems like we're getting a little bit enough of a name for ourselves. That it's,
1702, us, World of Beer, Riley's Beer Garden, Canyon's Crown out on the east side, Noble Hops. There seems kind of like strength in numbers, so it's worth their while to bring their beer down. Not just one keg in a case for us, but now it's 5 kegs and 10 cases.
Yeah,
So
now, did you guys? So before you opened, were you out there laying a lot of groundwork, or have you done most of that since you've been open? I mean, I know you had to have some connections.
Well, it took us a while to get open, and so that was one of the benefits of it taking longer than we thought, is building relationships with breweries and distributors, and
especially like Dragoon and 1055 and the other local breweries in town. I mean,
and also, like we spoke about earlier, like 1702 and Austin at 1702 really talking through a lot with us before we open. Hey, here's my cooler. Let's talk about how you should have your cooler organized, So the whole, getting open phase was relationship building. Let's go up to Phoenix and hang out at Fate, and that 8 months later got us 3 kegs from Fate. A conversation we had long before we opened.
Yeah.
So
Matt and Sherry up at Angel's Trumpet in Phoenix too. Great people and great help. Gave us a tour of their cooler as well, and talked about the trials and tribulations of having a bunch of craft beer. And what you're going to deal with.
So, well, that's the one of the segments that is still growing is the craft beer. Some are either staying flat or going decreasing, but craft beer is still. All kinds of breweries are opening. I saw it's like 17 or 1800 last year opened, and only 42 closed. So that seemed like I don't want to hear anybody closing, but that seems like a good ratio. So
for a segment that's beer is decreasing.
Yeah, but the craft part...
the craft part is double-digit increases for the last 5 years, I believe.
Yeah.
So
we have to... That's why we're all here. We're keeping that going. So.
Hopefully that continues.
Really well, with people like you guys out there doing what you're doing.
It'll be interesting to see what the next 5 years hold for all these new breweries coming on the market. And, I mean, it kind of goes back to the Russian River again, supplying your own neighborhood with beer.
Yeah.
So
it's great that they do that.
It sucks that we can't get Russian River here, but I have a respect for supplying your local neighborhood or your county with beer.
Yeah, I have a huge respect for that, for what they're doing, keeping things fresh, the turnover, all that kind of stuff, keeping on top of that. And it just sucks because we're not in California.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but it kind of goes back to the pre-prohibition days when there was 2,000 breweries throughout the United States, and that's what most of them were. And now you're kind of seeing that again a little bit.
Yeah, we rarely get to sit down and drink beer together, so this is good.
Yay! All right.
One of us is usually always running around.
One of the things Andrew and I both know are how to, small business owners and what you guys go through. Because Andrew still works for a small and has now for 19 years for
18 years now.
Wow.
I worked for them for 11 and for a bakery before that for 17, 18 years work. So I understand not firsthand but secondhand knowing that you guys take on a lot and there's a lot of things you're making sure it all happens. So I understand why you're looking around.
I am too. I feel like all of a sudden at some point I was like, can I help you with something? Right there. I probably know you need to walk over there.
Yes.
But I'm also happy that this has given you guys an occasion to sit down and drink some beer together. So
it's good.
That's very cool.
Very fun.
Well, to quote Dan Fogelberg, the beer was empty and our tongues were tired and running out of things to say. And that is pretty much why that's pretty much why things ended as they did. No, not really. There was a lot of other conversation that happened that really didn't form a tight, sort of cohesive podcast that you, our listener, have come to appreciate.
Yeah, but you never know. Could be a rough draft at some point.
It could.
Possibly an embarrassing rough draft.
Certainly could.
Could be something of that nature. Who knows what else? But that was just kind of where things tended to trail off.
Well, we'd been down there already, 2.5 hours?
Something like that,
and, Scott and Rebecca do have a business to run, so
yes.
There were things that they needed to get working on, so we certainly can't thank them enough and say how much we appreciated their time. And we have also talked to them about doing some things with them in the future, on location again, live on location, and maybe being down there for some of their events, or who knows what we will do. But at least they told us they had a great time, and I'm going to believe them on that. I know we had a great time, and we would love to be down there again and do some more discussion and tasting.
And if you'd like to find out more about the Tap and Bottle, you can just go to their website, thetapandbottle.com, or you can even be following them on Twitter or on Facebook. And if you just do a Google search for both those things, they're very easy to find. And they have links even at their website as well as we'll have all those links at our website, AboutBeverages.com. And until next time when we're live on location, I will hope to see everyone out in the community. And what do we got next week? Actually, you know what? We've got something very exciting next week. Something I've been holding on to that we had done a podcast on a little while back, and we held it so that we could get these out. Let's just say it involves a beard.
I had a feeling that's what you were going to say. A beard and many surprises.
Thanks for listening.